This year, I found myself standing in the middle of the mall, telling myself that if I found something I really loved, I could buy it. I was tired of feeling restricted after months. But I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Let's go back to the beginning. So why did I do a no buy in 2025? In 2024, my closet was feeling overwhelming. I felt like I had a lot of clothes. I don't have a lot of space to store my clothing. So it felt like a struggle to jam all these pieces into my closets, my drawers, etc. And with that feeling, I had set out to do a low buy in 2024 by only buying 12 items that year. However, by March, it was totally blown out of the water, and I ended up adding over 70 pieces to my wardrobe. And some of those didn't even make it through the entire year before I had decluttered them, realizing they weren't right for me. I felt disconnected from my wardrobe and like I didn't even know what my style was. And after adding 70 pieces to my wardrobe in 2024, it turned out that buying new pieces wasn't the answer. So when 2025 started, I wanted a reset. I wanted to learn more about my style and my preferences. I wanted to know what was a 100% yes and what was a no, because those lines were blurred. I didn't trust myself or know my style, and I needed a reset. So I wanted to avoid buying new pieces, and I wanted to appreciate the pieces that I already had. I wanted to take a deeper dive into the reasons why certain pieces were getting decluttered and certain pieces were the ones that I was reaching for over and over again. And finally, I wanted to learn how to get more creative within my wardrobe. The rules for my no buy were to not buy anything new, clothing-wise. I didn't want to buy any new shoes. I was allowed to buy accessories like hats, handbags, stuff like that. I wasn't allowed to replace anything because I felt like there wasn't anything that I could think of to replace. However, at the end of this year, I ended up replacing my running shoes. I'd had them for 2 or 3 years, and it got to the point where the heel of the shoe had been worn down on both shoes, that there was a hole, and whatever plastic piece holds up the back of your shoe was poking into my heel while I was walking. And I walk every single day for 60 to 80 minutes a day. And before that, I had used these as running shoes. So they definitely had a lot of miles on them. And I think I misjudged how worn they were. So I actually did end up replacing those. So I did break one of my rules. You guys can decide whether or not I failed my challenge or not based on that. And my final rule was that I was going to be allowed to accept gifts, and this actually made a really big impact on my no-buy because it allowed me to build the muscle of intentional shopping. So obviously I wasn't buying anything, but I was selecting pieces for my friends and family to get me or when I was working with brands, and it was a great way to practice being intentional because that's what I was doing. I knew I had constraints, and so I had to be really thoughtful about what I was choosing. And an example of that was for my birthday. I really felt like a pair of fisherman sandals would make a really big impact on my summer wardrobe. I don't have a lot of summer shoes. I have a pair of sandals and some flats and some sneakers. And it felt like fisherman sandals would allow me to create more different feeling outfits. I could layer them with socks. And so I wanted to make sure they had a lot of certain things. I wanted the fisherman sandals to be a certain shape. I wanted like a round toe instead of a pointed toe or a square toe because I felt like that would be the most versatile within my wardrobe. I wanted them to be a light tan color, not a dark brown or a black or a cream. I wanted them to have sort of a T-strap detail. I didn't want all of the support to be coming from some sort of ankle strap. I also wanted them to have support. So I looked for these fisherman sandals at companies that are known for supportive shoes like Bourne and Clark's. And I wanted them to be like a leather and well made so that they would wear well and I would have them in my wardrobe for a long time. So then once I had done the research and found a pair of shoes that kind of checked all the boxes, I even went to the store with my mom to try them on to make sure the fit was going to be right. And I actually ended up sizing down a half size. So once they were gifted to me, I knew they were absolutely perfect. And I actually wore them 15 times from when I got them at the beginning of June until December. And I'm obviously not wearing them a ton in the fall and winter months. So 15 times for 3-4 month period is a lot of times, especially since I had just received them. There wasn't any really break in time and I didn't really notice anything that I didn't like about them or that was like nagging at me like I have in the past with certain purchases. I'll have that sort of nagging feeling in the back of my mind, oh, that kind of bothers me, but maybe I'll make it work. I never had that with those. So the process of gifting really allowed me to practice intentionality and then get that gratification of the payoff being worth the effort because I now have a piece that really fits in well with my wardrobe and I'll hopefully have for a really long time. And so now that I've had some practice with intentional shopping through receiving gifts from people, I feel more prepared when it comes to 2026, and I can hopefully continue to build on this intentional decision making when I'm shopping for myself in 2026. So now let's talk about the hard parts. The first time I started feeling like I wanted to go shopping was the transition from winter into spring. And this was like late January, early February, when brands start coming out with their spring collections. And I do know myself, I feel like part of me wants to shop for the upcoming season because in my heart, I want it to be that season already. I'm ready for winter to be over and spring weather to come. I also feel this really heavily in summer into fall. And so I knew it was coming. So to combat that, I created a style challenge in the month of February, which is when I created a prompt for every day to get dressed to. And then I created an outfit and shared it over on Instagram. And the prompts ranged from trying to get dressed from a different perspective to doing kind of creative silly prompts to trying to learn more about my wardrobe. And it was really effective. Not only did it create like a little fun routine where I was getting dressed and sharing my outfit, but it also took my mind off of the seasonal shift. I was able to continue having fun getting dressed in the season that we were in, which was February. For me, it's quite cold still in February. It's quite wintry. So I got like a second wind when it came to my winter wardrobe. Another difficult moment for me was, I think this was like April or May maybe, and Abercrombie had released these barrel leg cotton drawstring pants in this beautiful like brown gingham. They felt like they fit my style. I love my barrel jeans, so I've been wanting another pair of barrel style pants, and this felt like they were different enough from my barrel jeans that they would add something to my wardrobe. And I was looking at them every day. I would put them in a cart and then just not check out. It got to that point where I'd go to the checkout page. Like I got really close to putting my credit card information in and just buying them. But something stopped me every time. One was the guilt of failing my no-buy because there's no way I can spin this where it's gonna be anything other than me buying a new piece of clothing. And also, I have a million pairs of pants. I have so many pairs of pants, so there wasn't any real reason for me to buy it. Now looking back, I think adding these to my wardrobe would have been good for my style as a whole. I don't have that many printed pairs of pants, particularly lightweight printed pairs of pants, but I feel like I get a lot of wear out of those. And so if Abercrombie ends up making them this year, I would probably pick them up. And I also feel like this was early in my no-buy, so I hadn't done like a big declutter, but I think I'm going to be able to reduce my pants enough where it feels like adding another pair of pants won't feel like too many, because I'll have hopefully gotten rid of all of the pants that I'm not really wearing to make room for pairs of pants that will build on my wardrobe and make getting dressed even easier and bring new life to the pieces that I already have. So in the end, I'm glad that I didn't break and buy the pants in that moment because I was in a different place with my wardrobe and in my headspace when it came to shopping. But now that I'm still thinking about them, they're still on my mind. I like pants like that. I don't know if those are the pants, but I definitely have had my eye out for gingham, barrel leg, elasticated drawstring pants because that feels like something that I would like to add, but I don't know if those are the ones. So I need to dig a little deeper on it. I think the color and the size of the gingham are also going to be a factor on whether or not I buy a pair. There's a lot of other brands, more sustainable, probably better quality out there than Abercrombie. So that's another thing on my mind. So those Abercrombie pants taught me sort of something that I'm looking for that I feel like can add to my wardrobe, but also I think I can dig deeper and find something that is a little higher quality. I want to be really intentional about what I'm bringing into my wardrobe in 2026. So if I do end up going for a cotton barrel leg, high-rise pant, there's a lot of boxes that have to be checked before I bring it in. but I am glad that I didn't break my nail to buy these specific ones. Another hard moment was again in the May time frame, and this was when I had 5 months of no buy and I was feeling really restricted, and I was like, I just want to have some retail therapy. So I was at the mall running some errands, and while I was there, I was like, you know what? If you see anything that you absolutely love, just buy it. You've earned it. You go and you buy it. I was like, I don't care anymore. And I went around the mall and nothing felt like it was worth buying. Nothing felt like it was worth breaking my no buy for. And I realized that my standards were changing. It wasn't just about buying something. It was about buying the perfect thing. I'd find something and I'd be like, this isn't the right color. Or I'd try something on and it'd be too big and I just didn't have the capacity to go find it in a smaller size. Or I'd go and they don't have the right size in the thing that I liked. And it was funny because I was annoyed that I had been restricted in my no buy, and then I was annoyed that I couldn't even find anything to buy. Like it ended up being good in the end, but I was like, can't I just buy something? Can't I just find the thing that I love and bring it home and have it give me some dopamine? So it ended up being a benefit that I didn't bring anything home and that nothing was really sparking joy for me, because it is telling me now that my standards are changing in terms of what I'm willing to bring in. But in the moment, it was really frustrating. But sometimes it takes going through a hard moment like that to come out on the other side and be like, you know what? It was for the best. And for the final tough moment from this year, it was when I went on a trip to Cabo. Some family got married this year, and so we went to Cabo, Mexico for a trip. And I've noticed that before a trip, I panic buy things, and I wasn't able to do that this time, and I'm so thankful because I definitely have some regret purchases from previous trips, and this year I didn't buy anything, and so there's nothing for me to regret buying for that trip. And so I was a little bit stressed out right before we left. I packed and repacked and edited and re-edited the pieces that I brought with me, but wearing what I wore ended up being fine. There were a couple times where I felt like a bit out of place. Like there was a dinner that they mentioned was going to be casual, so I wore a pair of denim shorts. And then there were people that were wearing full-length maxi dresses, so that felt a little bit out of place, but nothing bad happened. It's not like I got kicked out of the party. It just felt a little bit uncomfortable, and sometimes in life you just have to feel uncomfortable and then move on. And then another time on the trip, I wore a dress that was a bit more like cottagecore inspired. It was like a gingham sort of t-shirt dress style, and it just felt a bit out of place when people are wearing like more tropical clothing, more like beachwear, and then I'm wearing this sort of gingham short sleeve dress. But again, even if I'm like a little bit out of place, like nothing bad happened, I just have to get over it and be like, you know what, this is my style. I don't need to bend to whatever occasion I'm going to. I just wear my version of it. And so that's something that I felt like in the past I would have bought a bunch of stuff that I would have worn for the vacation and then probably not reach for ever again. And I didn't have that problem this time. I just wore what I wear in my day-to-day life, and then I'm able to just continue wearing the same items after that trip. It allowed me to save time and money that otherwise would be spent on trying to find new pieces that I was going to wear, once or twice and then never wear again. So what did I do instead of shopping? Firstly, I did 3 style challenges this year. I had never done a style challenge, but I had seen people who I follow who have like really beautiful sort of signature style do some of these. What Abby wore is someone that I love who does style challenges quite a bit. Rachel Renee used to do a lot of style challenges, so I thought, this could be fun. Let me try it and see how I feel about it. It doesn't hurt to try something new, and so I did my first style challenge in February of this year. I did a second style challenge in July, and I did a third style challenge in November. Each time I learned something a little bit different. I really started to get to know my wardrobe and was able to see my pieces from a different perspective in February. In July, I learned a lot more about my summer wardrobe. As I've said, I think previously in this video as well as past videos, I really don't love getting dressed in the summer. And so not only forcing myself to get dressed in probably one of the hottest months of the year where I live, but also actively trying to learn how to love my summer wardrobe more through different prompts and different challenges within the style challenge as a whole was really enlightening. I had put outfits together that I had never thought to put together that felt more in line with my personal style. I also learned more about my summer color palette and how that has a really big effect on how I feel in the summer. And so that was really impactful. And then in the November style challenge, I really just had a blast, like trying weird stuff and creating new outfits and just really honing in on my personal style and trying to figure out the why of what pieces I love reaching for and what pieces I have to force myself to get wear out of. And through all three of these challenges, I didn't really think about shopping because I was getting creative within my wardrobe. I was creating new outfits with the pieces that I already have. I was getting to know my wardrobe and trying just weird outfits and things I've never put together and different color combinations. And it just felt like I didn't need to add anything new because I have so many clothes already. So these challenges just allowed me to appreciate my closet even more and think less about shopping. Another thing that really helped me shop less this year was my new decluttering method. And that might feel a little bit strange, like how is a declutter helping you shop less? And the new decluttering method was to separate my closet into 3 categories, which is my favorites, my not nows, and my hows. My favorites are the pieces that I absolutely love. I can't stop wearing them. Like as soon as they come out of the laundry, I want to wear them again. My not nows are things that I put away either seasonally or things I need a break from. And my hows are the pieces that I like, but I don't know how to style or I never wear them. And first of all, having to pick your favorites really puts things into perspective, at least for me. I quickly realized how little of my wardrobe was truly my favorite pieces. I think I would call maybe 30% of my wardrobe a favorite. And then with my house section, I put those pieces in my face. There's a rack next to my bed and a shelf as well that's open. And so I'm looking at these pieces every single day. And so if I'm not choosing to wear them, I'm actively avoiding them, which is making me realize that maybe they're not for me. And then as I'm seeing these pieces that I'm actively not reaching for, I'm thinking about why I'm not reaching for them. Why is this piece that I think is beautiful and I love so much, in theory, still hanging on a rack and remaining untouched for months and months on end? And looking at those details makes shopping even harder because I'm like, oh, I liked this plaid button down and I put it in my closet and I think it's really beautiful, but I'm not wearing it. So it felt really scary to buy something because there ended up being a closet of pieces that at one point I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. This is going to fit in perfectly with my wardrobe. And then it's just sitting in my closet. So I really wanted to get down to the reason why things were favorites and things were not getting worn. And so the declutter really helped with that. In the new way I was organizing my clothes. And then one other piece that developed after my declutter, which was my Style It or Say Goodbye series. So this is a series that I started, I think mid-year, maybe in June or July, where I was starting to feel like there was a lot of stuff that I liked, but I wasn't wearing. And I was like, why? Why am I not wearing this? It's so beautiful. So I challenged myself to style these pieces with multiple outfits, take the time, play in my wardrobe, and if I was able to create outfits that I really loved, keep that piece and keep styling it. But if I wasn't able to create any outfits and I'm intentionally styling it, I'm sitting there in my room and I'm trying on a million things, I'm trying different color combinations, I'm trying different layering techniques, whatever. If I'm still not able to come up with an outfit that I like for that piece after working with it for an hour, there's no way I'm going to come up with something that I like. So doing that series really made it obvious very quickly what is a yes and what is a no. And it started off a bit slow. I was on the fence about a couple of pieces, and slowly the answers have become more and more concrete on whether or not something is a yes and something is a no. And so outside of my regular decluttering, just through this series, I've styled 20 something pieces and I've gotten rid of maybe 10 or 15 at this point. And that may not sound like a lot, but as somebody who in the past would have hung on to all of these and hung on to this belief that maybe one day I'll create an outfit with them, or I'm just not styling it right, or I forget that it's there, like making up all these excuses for why I'm not wearing something, and then being faced with reality that it's just not right for me. It's not the right fit. It's not the right proportion. It's not the right color. Like, it's been a real game changer for me. And I don't know how long I'm going to do the Style It or Say Goodbye series, but I feel like it's doing a really great job at curating my wardrobe and helping me make really thoughtful decisions about what to keep and what to declutter. And so that has been a real game changer in terms of my shopping as well. Another thing that I did instead of shopping this year was use the Index app. I started using it at the end of 2024, and it's really been a great tool for me for a lot of ways. First of all, I love the idea of tracking my outfits and what I'm wearing, and I love the analytics and all of those features of the app. But I think my favorite feature of the app is the open closet feature, where people can come in and can style your clothes in your Index app and then send you the outfits. And I love this because it's always fun to see how other people see your clothes. You can get a different perspective on how to put together an outfit. And I think it can just open up your eyes to the different possibilities. And if it's not that exact outfit that someone sent you, it can be a layering technique or a color combination that maybe you hadn't thought of before. And I've actually made 2 videos creating the outfits that you guys have put together for me on Index. So I'll link that somewhere here and down below if you guys want to check that out. But it's been so cool to see like the outfits that you guys create that I would never have thought of. So what has actually changed? One, I now have the tools to fight boredom as well as wanting retail therapy through my style challenges or my Style It or Say Goodbye series. And that's really exciting because that was one of the big things that I really wanted to tackle this year. Next, what's changed in my wardrobe has been that I really appreciate my clothes so much more. Before, it felt like my clothes were just there to create an outfit and they were fine. There was pieces that I loved, but overall, my wardrobe felt a bit bland, and I don't know, it didn't feel like me. I felt like I was dressing more to fit in. And so I felt like my clothes were just my clothes. And now I feel like I appreciate how unique my wardrobe is and how personal my personal style is. I think that's something that makes fashion so special, is everyone uses their experiences and their life to shape how they're getting dressed and what their personal style is. And that's something that I've also come to really appreciate this year, is like my personal style is so personal to me. And so I appreciate every piece that goes into what makes my style feel personal to me, if that makes sense. The next thing that actually changed is I've seen a shift in how I see bringing in a new piece. Previously, it felt like this like singular thing of like bringing in a new item. I wouldn't think about how it works with my existing pieces. It was just like a pretty thing that brought me joy, I thought was pretty, and then it became mine. And now I'm thinking more about how bringing in new pieces is going to affect my wardrobe as a whole. How is it going to fit in? And how is it going to build on what I already have? How is this new piece going to work with all of the other pieces that I already have and love within my wardrobe? And so that's going to make a big impact on how I'm looking at shopping going forward. The next big change was how I decluttered this year. I spoke about this earlier in the video. I just want to reiterate how much of an impact that this has made within my wardrobe. As someone who takes a lot of emotion into a declutter, this new practice has really allowed me to be analytical with my decluttering, and I'm not allowed to make as many excuses now that I have my house section in my face every day, and I'm still not choosing a lot of those pieces. Is a real big wake-up call for me, and I think I'll never go back to the old way of decluttering because this new way has made just such a big difference within my wardrobe and my personal style. The next thing that has changed this year is my view on my summer style. In previous videos, you might have seen I say again and again how much I hate getting dressed for summer. And you know what? This year, I hated it a lot less. And I think that's because I learned a lot more about my summer style through the Snow Buy and the style challenges and my Style It and Say Goodbye series. Like, I just was able to learn so much more about what makes my style feel like me and feel good on me and feel good when I'm wearing different pieces, instead of what I normally do during the summer, which is buy new pieces hoping that something will spark my joy of summer dressing. And instead I looked at what I love about fall, winter, spring dressing and tried to translate that into my summer dressing. It was a game changer. I was like, oh, I love texture and dimension. Let me see how I can incorporate that in my summer style. Oh, I love layering in the fall and winter. Let me see how I can incorporate light layers. Oh, in the spring and fall, I love to wear saturated dark tones. How can I incorporate more dark tones into my summer wardrobe to bring more depth into this overly light, pale color palette that I'm working with within my summer wardrobe? All those things allowed me to create outfits that have felt more like me than they ever have before, and I just felt so much more comfortable creating outfits and getting dressed this summer than I ever have. And that's all thanks to not bringing anything new, not reverting to my old habits, and learning more about my style and what it is that makes it feel like me. And the final thing that's changed is I have a way more concrete view of what a 100% yes is. And I'm not going to go ahead and say I'm perfect and that I'm not going to make any mistakes in 2026, but I feel like I have the tools to become a lot more intentional about what I'm bringing into my wardrobe. I think I'm going to be a lot more rigid about what details I need each piece to have to feel comfortable bringing it in, because I know that if it's not perfect, it could eventually get decluttered, which would be a waste of time and money and space within my wardrobe. I'm not only going to be looking at color and fit, but also the details. The neckline, the sleeve shape, texture, fabric, proportion, and thinking about how it's going to fit in with the rest of my wardrobe. What pants am I wearing this with? Can I style it with a skirt? Can I wear it in spring? Can I wear it in fall? Can I wear it in winter? Would a coat fit over this? Would something fit under this? Like, how is this going to fit in and impact my wardrobe and build on the personal style that I already have? I've just learned so much more about what I'm drawn to and what I like within the pieces that I love and that are my favorites, and what patterns I'm seeing in the pieces that I'm decluttering. So at the end of the day, I'm really proud of myself for completing this no-buy. And some of you might say that because I received gifts and I did get some new things in my closet, like that this is a failure. And if that's the case, like, I'm sorry to have disappointed you, but I think for me, it was really successful. I feel more confident in my personal style than I ever have. I feel like my wardrobe is more curated than it's ever been. And I feel more confident in my ability to move forward from this and not go back to my old habits than I ever have. That being said, I am a little tiny bit nervous about 2026, only because after my last no-buy and the fact that I failed a low-buy in 2024 makes 2026 feel a little bit more daunting. Like I mentioned earlier, in 2024 I tried to do a low-buy, and by March it was a complete failure. So I just don't want that to happen again. And for me, it feels a lot easier to completely remove shopping from the equation than to put restrictions on it. And I'm currently working on the rules for my 2026 low buy. So if you want to drop any rules that you think could be helpful, put them down in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up so I know to make more videos like this. I am currently working on a closet inventory video where I'll share with you where my closet is after this no-buy year and after decluttering over 70 items of clothing, in terms of how much of each piece I have and any realizations and patterns I'm seeing within my closet. I'm also working on, like I said, my 2026 rules and what I'm hoping to achieve in 2026. So that video is also coming. So if you don't want to miss either of those, make sure to subscribe. It really helps my channel. And if you enjoyed this, you might enjoy my video about my personal color palette, where I talk about how I created it, how I use it within my wardrobe, and how you can decide whether or not it could work for you. So I'll leave that linked here and see you in the next one. Bye!